It's Kelly. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be part 1 of my January wrap-up. I got a haircut. We're not going to talk about it. So, January, it's going so slowly. And my reading, I've not read as much as I wanted to this month. But what I've read, it's been okay. I have read almost all of the graphic novels, it seems. And I've finished a series, and I'm currently reading the end of a duology, I think, because it came out last year, and between the years between both books, it's been a while, so I don't know if there's going to be a third one, and if so, it'll probably be years before it's announced, but I'm counting it as a duology, and I'm currently reading The Hidden Palace by Helene Wecker. This is the sequel to, or the conclusion to The Golem and the Genie. And yeah, so the sequel, it takes place in New York and in the Middle East, and it's following the main characters from The Golem and the Genie through their lives, and new relationships form, new things emerge. It's about the First World War, and how it's just great. And it introduces some new characters. We get to see the interactions between all of the characters eventually come together. And so, if you don't know what the Golem and the Genie is, the Golem and the Genie is about two mystical beings. A golem, which is a clay person in Jewish Hebrew culture, and a genie who was trapped in a copper flask for thousands of years because the wizard who put him in that flask died and kept being reincarnated. And so they eventually end up in New York, and they become friends, and they become companions because they are the only two mythical beings who have like a common sense, or not a common sense, but like a common theme that they are not human and that they are different, but they're trying to fit in with the human world and just live life as best they can. So, I love this one. I got this much left, and I don't want it to end. So, yeah. But I gotta finish it this week because it's due back to the library. Speaking of other books that are due back to the library, this stack of graphic novels. So I did not plan on reading these graphic novels this month. I planned on reading them last month in 2022. Didn't get to it. So, I've already finished a series in 2022. Yay me. And that is the Locke Key series by Joe Hill. I read volume 4, 5, and 6. And I ended up giving volume 4 a 3 out of 5. I'm going to tell you all my ratings first. I ended up giving volume 5 a 5 out of 5. My favorite, by far. And then ended up giving volume 6, which is Alpha and Omega, a 4 out of 5. It didn't end like I wanted it to, but anyways. So, if you don't know what this series is about, this series is about a family who experienced a traumatic murder by a student that goes to their children's school. This student, he becomes obsessed with where this guidance counselor was born and raised, called Key House. And the student kills the dad, Randall Locke, and he gets put in a prison. And so the mom, who is a former alcoholic, she takes the kids back to their dad's childhood home to just be closer to him. And then they eventually start finding these keys all around the house. These magical keys that like open things. Like there's a head key that'll open your brain. There's a door where you can open and you walk through and you turn into a ghost. There's a key that looks like a ambulance symbol. And it's a mending cabinet. So if you break something, you can put it in the cabinet, turn the key back, and it's fixed. So all these keys. And so when they get to Key House, I'm calling it Key House because that's what it's called in the show. I like the show better than the graphic novels. And so when they get to the house, they go into the well house, or the little boy does, and he meets Dodge, who is this lady that lives in a well. And so she's our main villain. But anyways, I had not read Locke Key since the end of 2020, and I forgot a lot. And so picking up the 4th volume, I was like, ugh, at the art style because it was so different. I thought there was a different artist involved, and so I didn't like how the art looked. And the story, it mentions the animal key at the very beginning, like very briefly. Like, it tells the story of Bodhi turning into a bird, and that's it. It doesn't go into anything else with this key. The key is never mentioned again. But yeah, the 4th volume, not my favorite. But the 5th volume, absolutely love, because we go into the history of how the keys were made. And so we go back to 1776 with the Revolutionary War. The Redcoats, the British, have kicked the Locks out of their home and are using the Key House as the military base of operations. And the rebels are like in the sea caves. And we also get behind the scene. We get the history of what happened with Randall Locke and his friends, who died, how Lucas became what he did. So, my favorite by far. And I'm hoping that this is in season 2. And like I said, I am enjoying the show a lot more than the graphic novels. But the one thing I do have against the show is that they did the head key differently. But the 9th episode of the 1st season, I understand why they did the head key like they did. Because if they would have done it like how they did it in the book, then it would have been weird. This one, I ended up giving it a 4. I had high expectations for it after the 5th volume. And this one made me cry. I can't tell you why, but it also made me laugh. Because Scott Kavanaugh wearing the white dress to prom and reenacting the Carrie scene just to get a little chuckle and nobody getting it. Bodhi, just not Bodhi, cussing, and then the end. No, I could not handle it. But yeah, I think Joe Hill was just trying to cram too much into this one, that it was telling a story, and then when you get to the good part, he goes to a different part of the story, and then it didn't flow well, in my opinion, because I was into Scott Kavanaugh and the prom, and then he'd go to Tyler and Duncan working on the car, and then shadows would come, and then go down to the sea caves, and then yeah. I wish that this volume just focused on one thing, and that there was another volume, because I don't like how this ended. So, yeah. Overall, I give the series a 4 out of 5. And then the last book that I'm going to talk about today, in this part, it's V for Vendetta by Alan Moore and David Lloyd. I used to watch the show, or I used to watch this movie all the time when I was a teenager, and I have not watched it since I was 15, 16. I'm 31 now, and I don't remember a goddamn thing about it. And going into this, I don't know. This just didn't feel right to me. The movie, way better. is this the year of me watching adaptations in the movie being better than the book? I don't know. But, yeah, so this is about a fascist England turned police state, and about a guy who used to be a prisoner in one of the what wasn't concentration camps, but it was a concentration camp. He was a prisoner in one of these concentration camps, and he was experimented on, and so he enacts his vengeance against the government and the people that did the experiments on him and that betrayed the country. And he rescues this girl named Evie from prostitution, and he takes her under his wing and tries to teach her, not like outright, but subtle. Like, I do this and this and this is there and that is there. And why'd you do that? Because, and he speaks in riddles, which is fucking aggravating. Yeah, but he's like teaching her, he's basically making her his apprentice to take after him when he's dead. And so, yeah, the government the men, they were hard to keep separated because they were all the same, and it was hard to tell who was who, like who died and what he was he the finger, was he the eye? It was just weird. And then the director or the commander, like this okay. And also the art style, it was a little scary. It spooked me a little bit. And then the font of the words, how it was all crammed together, I hated it. And so this reminded me of when I read Mouse, how I didn't really enjoy that one either because of how the words were all bunched together. And yeah, so sad to say I didn't really enjoy this graphic novel. I ended up giving it a 3. But I am going to be rewatching the movie as an adult and see if it holds up to time and how accurate they kept it to the source material, because honestly I did not enjoy my time reading this. So yeah, that is it for part 1 of my January wrap up. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and I will see you in my next video.